Well, the first one is my agenda request. It's fairly straightforward. I believe I sent an email to the board asking if you had any questions or concerns. Please feel free to call me or contact me. And so I'll make the motion to add this to the agenda. This is an agenda request.
Second with a question.
And there's a second by Commissioner Robinson. Your question?
Who would be presenting to us?
Actually, I'm sorry, I'm confused. This is a request for action. This is not an agenda item. My other's an agenda item. This is actually the result in response to a directive that the board issued on April 17th for an independent investigation. And since the investigation piece has been concluded, I'm requesting that we move forward with the external audit, which would have been, I believe, and I'll certainly let Commissioner Collins speak to that, but, I mean, we can do nothing or we can resolve it, but it's still out there pending. We never did anything about it because Ms. Holt informed us that we had to wait. Commissioner Collins, did you want to, I don't have the transcript here.
I don't really think having a transcript is necessary because based on the letter of the law as it relates to the actual state prosecutor's office, I'm assuming that you're suggesting that because, and I'm unaware because I haven't actually seen it myself, there was a conclusion by this state prosecutor's office that there was a completion of the investigation. That does not, based on the letter of the law in the code, primarily mean that the investigation is completed. Upon the investigation in view of the state prosecutor's office, the next phase is to remand it back to the state, to the jurisdictional prosecutor. And from my understanding, there has not been any documentation received suggesting that that investigation is completed.
Ms. Holtz, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I actually have to concur with what Mr. Collins said.
Okay.
I have made inquiries as to the status of the investigation and have been unable to get a response.
Wow, so the state's attorney won't respond?
He has indicated that he's unable to give me that information.
Well,
so there was a response, but
there was a grand jury convened, and this incident took place supposedly, allegedly, in January of 2012. Oh, excuse me, 2011.
We're making a lot of assumptions, though, and I don't think we have the information to make those assumptions.
Oh, I have the information,
Well,
Commissioner Davis.
Can I finish speaking? One is that the prosecutor's investigation was only limited to one thing. Second is that there's only one prosecution. When you involve W-2 forms, you're involving a federal prosecution. So those are federal laws being violated. So I would just say that we're just making a lot of assumptions that we're not in a position to make. And if there's a current investigation, it would make sense, the investigation wasn't closed, it would make sense that state's attorney or no one else is able to comment on it. So I don't know what I don't know the purpose of this, but I think I don't think we're equipped to even make a decision.
Well, I'm going to refer everyone to my agenda request. I'm going to say that Mr. Collins, on April 17th, and I did ask for the transcript to be included, maybe it's not, made allegations. I want to make clear that documentation has been provided to the county attorney, that there are no criminal investigations, okay? There are none.
To the county attorney?
Yes.
She just said.
She has seen the letter.
I've seen the correspondence from the state prosecutor.
Yes, she has. And may I finish, Commissioner Davis, since this has to do with me? This is clearly an effort on the part of certain commissioners who, I might add, are licensed attorneys to continue down this road of what is harassment and intimidation and A grand jury was convened. It ended with no bill filed, okay? And this is, at best, which there is no wrongdoing here, a statute of limitations would apply. So I am not sure what in the world would prevent us at this point in time from moving forward with an external audit of these issues. Okay, let's assume that there may be some, which there isn't, what you're suggesting is so far-fetched, and I have to ask my commissioners, why are you so reticent to begin an independent external audit? I mean, certainly if this rose to the level of being so egregious that it would still be under investigation, all of these years later, with the statute of limitations having concluded, you're telling me that you still wouldn't want to know what the heck went on around here with your W-2, Commissioner Collins?
I've made my comment based on the law, and I would only suggest
So you're
that-
giving us legal advice? What law are you referring to, Commissioner Collins?
I think that the county attorney concurred with my description of the law as it is.
So, Ms. Holtz, are you saying that you believe it's appropriate to stall an external audit of this matter because there is still some investigation out there based on what you have seen and you have been told?
That was not the
No,
question that was...
that's my question to Ms. Holtz.
Right, but that wasn't presented to the county attorney.
It was presented to the county attorney.
The way you just described it, talking about stalling, I mean...
Well, Commissioner Collins, what are you doing then? Why don't you want why don't you want an external audit of the financial of these matters?
It seems as though you're shifting the issues here, Commissioner
issue
President.
wasn't
The
no,
issue
I'm not
was
shifting the issue.
whether you think that we should call off the investigation into you. Now you're shifting it to investigation of someone else.
There is no investigation of me, Commissioner Davis. There is no investigation. Now, I know you two would like to keep that going, but there isn't. So, Ms. Holtz,
Yes,
my
ma'am.
question to you, and I want to remind everybody that we have 3 licensed attorneys at this dais who seem to feel that they have the right to give legal advice. Ms. Holtz,
Yes,
are you
ma'am.
telling me that, based on what you've seen, okay, you think there is some impediment to our moving forward with what this board voted on on April 17th, 2012, which was an independent external investigation/audit?
What I'm trying to say, Madam Chair, is that my original advice in May of 2012 was that it was appropriate for any investigation by this body or initiated by this body to wait until an outside criminal investigation was completed.
And it's completed.
You have correctly stated that the state prosecutor has issued a document indicating that from his perspective, there is no further investigation, there are no charges being brought. I sought to verify that with the state's attorney, and I regret that I am unable to get a response from him, other than that he is unable to give me that information.
Now, in the hierarchy of investigations of elected officials, where does the state's attorney fit in with the special prosecutor?
They're 2 independent agencies. It's my understanding in this case that the matter was referred to the state prosecutor by the state's attorney.
And then he wrote back to the state's attorney saying, there's no finding. So that would indicate that there's no finding. And so that would indicate that the state's attorney is finished with that. So are you suggesting that that would not be the end of it?
I'm not trying to suggest anything, but
Okay.
only to state
Well,
what I know.
why would the state's attorney continue on?
I can't surmise on that.
Commissioner Robinson?
If the investigations are indeed over, as they appear to be, what would be the purpose of having this additional investigation?
To find out, which is exactly what Commissioner Collins was driving at, what was going on around here? Was there some necessity to verify what was on W-2s? Is there some, are there some issues related to elected officials not properly documenting their mileage and/or not paying adequate federal taxes? And what role the county plays in overseeing that? That's what I thought Commissioner Collins was driving at. Why else would he be concerned? I mean, you know, you certainly can't be looking at personnel records, but as we know, every step was made. The commissioners were notified that the auditor had been, you know, contacted. There was no subterfuge here. The commissioners were involved in this. So if it's the will of the board not to put this even, not to even move forward with understanding what went on here in county government, that's certainly their prerogative. But I will tell you that I think there's no question that there's no investigation. I must question why this pattern of harassment from the state's attorney continues, and it seems to always occur during budget time. I really have a question about that.
There's never been no special investigation, right?
Oh, yeah, there were 3. There was a grand jury convened by State's Attorney Tony Covington. It did not return an indictment. He then forwarded it to the special prosecutor. They determined that there was no wrongdoing. And then, as we all know...
No, but there's nothing from this office, though, correct?
What office?
What-
Nothing. We never looked into it.
No, I'm saying, so what's the difference if
Why
it's
don't
here or
we?
not, though? I mean, that I don't understand. It's not in our hands anyway. So,
I mean, what Commissioner Collins asked for on April 17th was an independent investigation.
but nothing ever happened with it.
Well,
Is that
he suggested that it was a criminal issue. And so somehow, coincidentally, although in the transcript he says he didn't know if there was a criminal investigation going on, the fact of the matter was, on April 16th, the state's attorney was already in our building interviewing people. So somehow, some way, the state's attorney had the impression that there was some major crime going on over here and decided to come in on April 16th and begin interviewing people. On April 17th, Commissioner Collins then announced that this required an independent, outside investigation for issues that he believed might rise to the level of being criminal. At that point, we voted to have the external investigation, but we were prohibited from doing so because State's Attorney Covington had already embarked upon his own investigation. He then convened a grand jury. There was no true bill filed. He then referred it to the special prosecutor. We have a letter from the special prosecutor that the case has been closed. And in addition to that, there were other special prosecutor investigations, and one of which I believe members of this board and staff participated in. So let's just say, if anybody in the public's worried, I've been investigated from here to Sunday, okay? And the matter was closed, and I'm just questioning. My purpose here was to say we had agreed that we would do an investigation of our own, not to find out what was going on. Understanding what has transpired, it is now, 2 years later almost, it would seem to me that the board would be interested in knowing what's going on. If they're not, they're not. But to rely upon the fact that there is some investigation going on, you know, I would say that that is just ridiculous, and I would really question how it is that my colleagues are so tuned into what's going on over there with Mr. Covington.
You've made so many allegations.
Yes, I did.
You're really loose with harassment and intimidation allegations. It's really improper. I will say this, that you are misstating facts. And the fact that the state prosecutor decided not to prosecute is not an indication of any innocent or guilt. It is their intention just not to prosecute.
Keep going, Commissioner.
You're standing on
Keep
this
going.
soapbox, Candace, and you're about to tread on some territory that you don't necessarily want to go to. But I will say that it has been clearly stated that the investigations are not completed, and based upon that, I would move at this time that we not take any further action until we are on notice that the outside investigations have been completed as we voted before. There's no reason to upset that.
Commissioner Robinson.
Just going back historically here, back to April of 2012, when the board voted to hold an external investigation. And was it your advice, Ms. Holtz, that we not do that because of the outside agencies that were?
Yes, it was in
That
a
was my
memo.
recommendation, Commissioner.
It's in board docs, Commissioner Robinson.
Okay, so here in January of 2014, despite the fact that you've only received a letter or correspondence from the special prosecutor indicating that that investigation is
Right.
over, however, you have not received anything from the state's attorney for Charles County.
I have written to him.
I understand that.
And you called
But-
him.
But
And called.
based on that, is your advice still to not move forward with an external investigation, or does it not matter?
We're not talking an external investigation, we're talking an external audit.
I think that my,
But I don't think that was the request originally.
Yeah, we need the original
Okay,
request.
I'll make that request, that we do an external audit.
My question is still about the, going historically back to 2012 when the term investigation was used, and the advice that you gave us in May, and now based on just getting 50% indication that there's no investigation, is your advice still
that is still my recommendation.
is to not move forward until we get something definitive from the state's attorney's office?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Holtz, I would like for you to take the proper steps to, through the courts, to obtain the information necessary with regard to the grand jury proceedings and what has happened to date. I know that there are methods through which we can apply and obtain that information.
I don't think the citizens of this county should be paying for that, Candace. That
you're
is a
out of order.
personal
You are
matter.
out of order.
You are out of
No,
order.
you-
That is a personal criminal matter of yours.
No, it's a matter that your colleague brought up here on
Yeah,
April 17th,
okay.
2012. And Ms. Holtz, I want this resolved
You need to hire
Once
an
and for
attorney to
all.
have it resolved.
and dealt with. Commissioner Collins raised in open session that there were criminal allegations, and it's very clear that there are two people on this board who are trying to stonewall getting this resolved, and I'm not exactly sure why, but we can all guess about that. This was unfair, it was improper,
Commissioner Kelly,
there were no
you're-
credible
you're,
allegations,
Commissioner
and
Kelly.
I'm speaking, Commissioner Collins, and I'm the chair of this board.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes,
I
ma'am.
would like a vote on this agenda request. I am asking only for, or excuse me, on this action item. I would like this board to weigh in after having gone through what I've been put through for a year and a half for no reason whatsoever, because all Commissioner Collins ever had to do was talk to people and ask people, and let me remind my colleagues that it is not their job to regulate and oversee members of this board. If there is wrongdoing, statutorily, that should be handled through the Ethics Commission, and everyone on this board knows that. But it wasn't handled that way, and that's something we can't change now. But I'm asking that we proceed with an audit so that we can get this resolved. Because I do believe that there's a sense of fairness and that our citizens deserve to have this resolved. Commissioner
I believe
Robinson.
Commissioner Collins needed to speak.
You're out of order, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Robinson.
Just going back to Ms. Holtz,
Yes, sir.
it seems like a simple request that we can make to the state's attorney to get an answer to the question.
It did seem like it would be a
And
it
I would,
wasn't.
I would imagine that a follow-up today or tomorrow might get an answer.
I doubt it.
I followed up in December, and I will follow up
And
again.
if it is an active investigation, is it appropriate that he would not respond?
Not having practiced a lot of criminal law, it is my understanding that normally the state's attorney will not tell you when an investigation is ongoing.
And are we not sure that this isn't some politically motivated,
I have no way of
it
knowing.
sure does look like it, folks, it sure does.
Candace, you're making tremendous
Yes, I am.
allegations. and-
Yes, I am. And you made some pretty tremendous allegations yourself, Commissioner Collins.
I will follow up, Commissioner.
Well, I'll tell you, I think the follow-up is to appeal to the court for the information. And, you know, I'm not going to be intimidated by this political game that's being played here. I mean, I'll run through it again, folks. On March 6th, 19th, and 23rd, okay, of 2012, 2 county vehicles were at a location.
Now you're really getting out of hand, Candace.
Yeah,
You've been told.
I don't think you
You've
want
been
people
told
to
that.
know
You've been told
where
that
you've
was
been with those
personnel
vehicles.
matters.
You don't
were
want
told.
people to know, and that's why you don't want the audit.
We've been really respectful. When these criminal charges came down, we've been really respectful of not airing your dirty laundry.
Because there was none, Deborah.
Oh, because there was
There was
lots.
none.
Enough to go to the state.
There was.
And enough to go to the feds, Candace. So
Oh, to the feds.
You really
Now we've
need
got
to.
it at the feds.
So you really need to be careful with that.
And how
I'm
would you
trying
know
my.
that, Commissioner Davis?
I'm trying my best to maintain some decorum here and to not air your dirty laundry while you're pointing fingers at everyone else.
Okay.
But I'd like for us to bring a vote and move on, please. I think our citizens deserve better than this.
Commissioner Rucci, I want to ask you directly, do you think that an audit, we're just asking for an audit, would be so inappropriate? I want you to look me in the eye and tell me that you don't think we
We
should
just
have an
had
audit.
legal advice saying it was inappropriate, Candace.
An audit. No, she didn't say that.
She just said that it was inappropriate to move forward.
Commissioner Rucci?
I'm not an attorney, I need to talk to our attorney.
She just said it.
Okay, well, folks, I'm glad this is all on the agenda and all on the record. And I want to go back and say again that there has been quite a lot of misuse of vehicles. There have been false documents. We have
Candace, is this
documents that have been hidden.
Is this you believe this is appropriate?
I don't believe what you did was appropriate either, Commissioner Davis. And I would like to finish and just say that I put this on the agenda to bring to a close what has transpired. It is clear that from the beginning, this was intended to delay and prevent this information from coming to light. And so thank you for your comments. Next, we have the agenda request